What's up, everybody? Another episode of Broken Bear Conversations. I'm Siko. Josh. This is our second episode today for this current session. It will be uploaded this week on Thursday. We just got done with our previous episode talking about the new year. It's 2023, which is crazy, you know?
Very crazy.
Yeah, time, at least to me, is going by pretty fast. The more time I spend on this earth, the faster it seems to go. But yeah, again, we're on everything. Broken Bear Conversations on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. Check us out, all right? But anyway,
we're everywhere.
We're talking off camera about some stuff. Josh kind of blew my mind because we were talking about religion and stuff like that. And he, the way that I've only known him for like less than a year, honestly. But from what I do know about him, I thought the way he is right now, he's been like this for years. But it seems like a lot of the growth has happened recently in the past year, couple years. So I want to hear about that, man. What's been going on, like especially with religion? Because you told me, as long as we've known each other, you haven't really been a religious person. You're more like agnostic, right? I would say.
I say kind of more now. I don't really know. Like it's still super fresh for me.
Yeah. Because to me, I thought that was like you've been like that for years, but you revealed to me that has only been for the past year.
Yeah, really. At least like maybe I think it was at least 2021, 2022-ish is when this kind of all started slowly happening. Yeah. That's also my discovery of echinacea. That was only about a year or something ago.
Crazy.
You know, so it's like I haven't been having a lot of these different things that's like being revealed to me. I'm like, fuck, you know.
I want to ask you this. Why do you think it seemed like a lot of things happened in the past year or two? Do you think that life just wasn't ready for you? You weren't ready? You think life thought you weren't ready? Or
I honestly think and again, this is just me kind of guessing, but I think a lot of things in life, if you look at it like it's all patterns, and we have like when we talk about our previous videos, little clicks, little things and ripples, people start think of it like that, because a lot of this with my life, and that's what I was talking about before in Texas, how things move slower versus being in a bigger city. It's like a lot more is condensed, you know, here. So I think where I was at in life, since things do move slower, it's like all these small pieces had to factor in for all these different small breakthroughs, because this was all happening pretty almost back to back. It was like I'd figure something out, then boom, boom. It's like, it's odd. Again, it makes you think, is this like a matrix?
Yeah, because
it's odd.
Sorry, but for me, I always look at life as I don't force things. I let things happen naturally and organic and when it's meant to be. So whenever I have these moments in life where like it seems like back-to-back shit happens to me, it feels like now is the time for things to happen. Yeah. You know? So that's why when you told me about how it seemed like a lot of growth happened in like a kind of short period of time, it's at least to me, it seemed like, I don't know if there was an event or something happening in your life.
Different things. So it's like it was like, I think it's almost like if you look at things like if you're working out, you reach a plateau, just like anything. I practice music, I play it a lot, you reach a plateau. It's like things get harder and tighter, and all of a sudden, then once you cross it, boom, it's all easy again. All this other stuff, boom, and then you get to the plateau. It's the same in life. Like all these different experiences, and it could be people experiencing death of a loved one, all these different things. These are small little factors that people can sometimes get all at once. Yeah. And if you make it through that side, think of it like a phoenix being born from fucking ashes, you can grow. It's like you crossing over a obstacle in life and you got past it. I don't know if that's what this is like, but this is how it seems as I'm trying to pay attention to these little small patterns. Because so many things happen all at once. Me choosing to leave the faith that I've understood and believed in since I was at least 11 years old.
What happened with that?
Well, first off, to start off, I didn't grow up in the traditional way of believing in like church. Most people in Texas kind of grow up in it, which I kind of did. I was born, into a family where the Baptist religion is very different than like a Baptist religion versus like a regular church.
What's the difference?
So like I would say this is like more of a small town stuff. A Baptist church, they don't like dancing and stuff like that. Like it's weird.
More strict?
Yeah, it's more strict. They didn't think it's like you're not supposed to express yourself physically or something like that. Okay. I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. But there are also some churches that they think it's fine. And like especially the ones nowadays, they're more. the Holy Spirit can take a hold of you, and how they say this, and
Yeah.
if you don't know anything about religion, there's a Holy Spirit, there's God, there's Jesus, they're all one, but they're all separate. It's like this whole thing, and I still in a way believe that, but I still have parts of that religion that I learned, and that's when I gravitated toward it, you know. So being 11-year-old at the time, growing up around it, I didn't have a different view, warped view. I thought church was boring, thought it was dumb. But being exposed to it, where I was around certain people that I think what I would say is they wanted to be a better person. I met Christians that they were on that path of healing. And just because someone claims to be in part of their religion, if they're not on the path of healing, then they're not going to be a positive force no matter what they're doing.
Yeah.
And some people in Christianity like to use it as a mask, as a positive force, but I think there's some people you'll meet and they'll be like, that's how you probably say to me, I was more of a positive force. And I thought, because me being a Christian, I became saved, is what they would say, by accepting Jesus in my life, that it caused me to be saved and a Christian and all that stuff, which I still believe. Like, there's parts of that, but I don't know if it was this version of how the story of God is. And that's kind of where I got on this path of self-discovery. The reason is the book's written by man. Obviously, we've been around for a very long time. The Bible's old. It's not as old as us. You know, we've been around for a good bit. But the religion itself, even if it's translated from ancient Hebrew, ancient Greek, all that stuff, it's still been translated by us. We have our understanding translating it. And that's where I started having my doubts and stuff like that.
Really?
It's just because...
Look at the fact that it's like man-made. I mean, not man-made, but like man.
Not just man-made. They're always there. Like, if man has any control, it's tainted.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're human. We taint shit. It's not... We might have good intentions, but things get tainted because we suffer from greed and all this, and envy and all this other shit, you know? We can't help it.
Yeah.
But I still believe, like, well, God wouldn't allow it to be changed. That was what I kind of believed. Yeah. Well, then... Fast forward several years, I'm now, I have family that's Jehovah's Witness, and of course, you know, Jehovah's Witness Bible is similar to Christian Bible, slightly different. I started paying attention, seeing the difference in the Bible, how their words were basically the same as what was in the Holy Bible and theirs. It's just slightly different to make their religion fit. And that got me thinking, I was like, well, if they could do it, why would it stop someone else? Well, ours is older. Well, then... that older stuff, how we know if that was the original? It was then copied from something else.
So you had some critical thinking.
It's like,
you didn't just
like,
accept it.
I've always never just accepted it. But what made me doubt is I've experienced things I cannot explain, humanly explain, that it's not possible. That would quote unquote say miracles.
So you thought that was God?
Yeah, I don't know what else it would be. It didn't make any sense. That's what's hard when I ended up deciding to leave the faith. And the reason I ended up deciding to leave it was because of I started seeing supporters that were part of the church. They would support Trump. I could see this person, and people that I like, even like, so my wife is mixed. She's her parents are white, but her dad died, and her mom's white, so she was raised more in a white family. So her growing up in that world, she's mixed and black. Sorry, and black. I forgot to mention that. Her dad died, but so her mom ended up raising her, and of course she grew up in this more of the typical Texas kind of rancher type little life, and her parents avid supporters of Trump, and they have kids adopted from Haiti. That doesn't make sense to me when you have black kids. And you support somebody that you know people of the worst versions of us, of humans, are choosing to support him as well. Like these, I would say, the Nazi Party type people, you know, the white supremacists who live all around, you know, they're everywhere. Especially even where we live, there's people that are like that. It's just... It was weird to me, and then seeing all that mixed with religion and all that stuff, it made me start like, I can't be a part of this. If people are choosing to believe this, that I don't know how you could say you believe in this Jesus who I followed, you know, because they're teaching. If anybody follow Jesus' teachings, you're not going to have a bad life. It's all about bettering yourself. And if I started really paying attention to that, it made me into kind of who I am. It made me question things and think for myself and try to put love first in all my actions. I still have bad negative thoughts, of course, but it's like I try to put it through this filter and make it sure my response is love. I'm gonna fail at that, of course, you know, I'm human. But it put me on that path of self-reflection and wanting to be a positive force.
And this was... Well, how long ago?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been doing this. When I stopped believing in Christianity, well, I still have the same positive force that I learned, the lessons I learned from Christianity. So I am thankful for that. But I think the warp shit is what I started leaving behind. The warp parts of it, where people can change things and use the the lies that can be in Christianity to cause, you know, all the stuff that's going on in the world. It causes problems.
When was that?
When it started happening, this was like all around when Trump was being president during COVID. That whole time, you know,
So
like I said,
3 years ago.
It started around that time.
Okay.
Like once I moved back, and that's where all this started happening.
Yeah.
Like I was not living the best when I was away from home. You know, I was living my own, and I just started, you know, being an asshole, choosing to, you know, I was like, I kind of gave up on life in that part. I started choosing because again, if you lived a certain way for so long, it's like opposite reaction in a way. I started just embracing because life wasn't working out, and that's, you know, I said fuck it. So I just started doing whatever I felt like.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a lot of people are assholes, because they're not happy.
It's true.
Their life is shitty.
And I was doing some stuff, but I would still do things that was, you know, positive. But I would also do things like I didn't care if I stole, whatever. Fuck it. I would go here and steal whatever I felt like. If I felt like doing that, if I wanted to be angry or mean to somebody, I would, and that was not a good, healthy life. And I was going on a bad journey. And it's like you were saying, when you were having problems, how many of these bad patterns kept happening to you? Where, you know, you might get something stolen, your car fucking up, whatever is going on. All these small things just get worse and worse and worse. Same thing with me. I ended up losing my job, all this other shit going on. It's crazy. I do remember my friend praying over me. And while he was praying over me, well, I asked him. I was at a different point, and I was like, dude, pray over me. I need you to pray over me.
Were you still a Christian?
Still a Christian. All that stuff. Still a Christian. Still believed in the faith, all that stuff. I just was embracing my darker self at that point. And then I remember he prayed over me, and I had this feeling of like this tingling sensation. His hand was on my shoulder, and it went through my whole fucking body. And all my stuff, my anger, my hate that I was embracing, it just started melting away. And I had this more of an understanding of it. Similar to the experience that I kind of felt on DMT.
So what do you think that is?
I don't know, and that's what I used to say. That's God, of course. Because what else would that be? But now, and those are small. I've had experiences like this most of my life. There's small things that I'm like, I don't know how to make sense of it. I melt it. Because I think what it is. This is my honest opinion. Like even when I chose to become a Christian, because I have aphasia. If people know what that is, I think I talked before. I have my mind's eye. I can't like have
you can't
access.
Visualize things.
Can't visualize. I don't have access to like conjure an image and see it before me. Like I can only time that's ever happened where I might get somewhat visuals in my head. It's just based off of memory, things I've seen. You know, it's not really a control factor. So that being said, when I remember choosing to be a Christian, I remember choosing I want Jesus in my life. I wanted him to be. And I was when I was a kid, and I was a bad fucking kid. I was already in a juvie at 11 years old. I was already in something like that. So I was already not being the best version of myself back then. But I remember choosing, I wanted to be something different. I remember making that choice, and that may be it. Me choosing, and it's like, I would call this, I don't know if you've ever read the books Aragon, but there's like this truth language you can't lie in. And I think it's our words can be like this truth language. Of course we can say the words, but when it's true inside and you speak it, I think that might be something that's a part of that. I didn't really speak it, but I think I did speak that I choose. Like I was choosing. I wanted something better. I wanted to be
by truth language.
Like when you're saying something that is true inside, that in your like your heart of hearts, your fucking core of your fucking onion, that bit of you, that when you're just lining with that. Like everything's fucking lined up in your whole being, and you want something with every fucking fiber. That's what the truth language. I think people can speak that, and there's nothing they're hiding because they're speaking so. I don't know. I think I've experienced it a few times. I don't know if that's what. Because again, I would have said this was Christianity. That was Jesus that healed me and all that stuff. Was it? I don't know. I do remember. It felt like I grew a conscience at 11 years old. So people know I suffer from like antisocial problems. So as a kid, I was very troubled. So. When I say grow a conscience, I don't know if I ever truly had one as a child.
Josh is just a ball of a lot of issues.
It was.
No
it just, so people know.
We all are.
We all are. But I do remember being so different. Like the way I thought felt different. I felt outside of myself at 11 years old because I remember choosing because I wanted to be something different than what I was. And I think that might be the biggest thing where people, and I would quote what happened to me is I became a true Christian, because I truly wanted to be something better. And I always had the thought when I was younger, I was too, I didn't love myself enough to be selfish. Like that's how I felt as a kid. So I was like, to me, like if I at least can help this person, that's at least great, even if they didn't know I was helping them. So I always had that kind of understanding as a child. It didn't used to be like that. And it's like, I feel like that was a factor. And now all the stuff, me leaving Christianity, I don't know what to think. I really, I think we all are. It's in us. We all are part of this. I don't know if it's like if we die, if we're all just connected to the same being. I don't know if it's something like that.
That's a good topic, man. Because for me, for a long time, my honest thought. Well, after I started not believing in Christianity, I don't think there's a heaven or hell. Right after that, I mean, at one point I believed there was a heaven and hell when I was a Christian, but after not becoming a Christian, I didn't believe that anymore.
Pausing on that real quick, just before we go on that was also a factor in like me separating.
Really?
My wife, she has a master's in religious theology. She was
really?
going to be a preacher, so so she was up there.
Wow.
So she left the faith before I did.
That's crazy.
And she was literally, up there traveling, ministry, did all that stuff.
That's crazy.
And that's why I said factors that factor in if you leaving things. She was the one that told me, hey, there is no hell. She told me that, and I didn't believe her. I was like, what do you mean there's no hell? I was like, I did so much research. She told me that, and I researched like fucking crazy. And then I see someone again. She went through all these seminary school, all this stuff, and she is the one to tell me. And she was like, she explained that a lot of the times they're talking about, people separate. If you go put yourself in the shoes when they're talking at the time they're talking about, even if these things are written words that just from what, even though what they wrote, say if it is true, the words that are in the Bible that's written like a documentary, they're writing down what they heard. That's why there's some contradictions, because it's people writing down what they know. It's like they're just, this is what I remember, and they're telling their stories. Someone writes it down, just like a podcast, just back then. So if all these stories were true about this man Jesus, if you look at the time that's going on, he could have just been somebody telling people how to better themselves, but people could use that to change it into something else. Who knows? But when he was talking about the hell, it's Gehenna. There was a fire that was going on all the time. It's always just burning. It's just always this lake of fire. It was just fire. They would throw bodies in there, it would just burn. It always was a fire. You can go there to this day, and that's where hell was at. That's what they would use to call hell. Again, I'm not as educated on this, but my wife, she can explain more, and there's things you can research and read. It talks about that, and even the stuff in like Revelations, it talks about in the Bible. A lot of the stuff was written in code at that time because the Romans, a lot of people were in prison, so they would write in such a way to be open. But if you understood at the time, they would understand what the writings were. But as us, we're looking at this from thousands of years in the future. We don't know that. No context, because it's like that thing. If a lion could talk, we wouldn't understand them. Because a lion, it's their understanding is of what's in the zoo. If they're in a zoo or out in the country, they're probably whatever they're doing with their nature. We aren't gonna understand it because their context are going to be so out of the normal what we know, and it could be the same people in the past. So if you put yourself in the shoes what they're talking about, we don't fully know. It's things, this writing's so old because obviously there's truth in it somewhere. And I will tell you, if you follow Jesus' teachings, you are going to be a better version of yourself. So. It's just things can get lost. Don't stop thinking for yourself. And that's where people get lost. They stop thinking. They just follow what someone else is saying. Think for yourself, but be positive. That's why I ended up leaving religion. But now go back to where you're saying.
Wait, so she said there's no hell because it could have been, the hell they're talking about could have been cold?
There was no mention of it before that. The way we talk about everlasting and all that stuff, where you're in this purge, we're in hell, it wasn't mentioned in the same. It was like people, because they speak in metaphors and stuff, people think, oh no, it's fact. I'm like, well, not all of it is fact. And often people, like how sometimes people speak in metaphors and people try to, so people can understand the story. But people like, no, it says it this way. It's exactly that. I've met people in Texas, they thought the fucking Bible was always in English. They didn't know it was a different language.
That's crazy.
So just so you know, people out there, no.
They just believe.
They just people just believe. I'm just saying, if people sometimes don't know stuff, they just get the surface knowledge and that's enough for them.
That's fucking crazy.
And it is. And especially if you know like Christianity, how long it's had been in control of our world.
I know,
Look at it. I mean, you can look through the history. Look how bad what Europeans did in the name of this God. That's crazy. And what if Jesus was just a man? Which again, they changed the name Jesus. It's not Jesus. His name is Yeshua. It's my name. Joshua.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So again, they'd be why did they change the name? Well, they changed his name to Jesus. Thing. It was an old name. It was the Hebrew name is just Yeshua. Yeah. That's it.
Definitely heard
so
of
the
that.
fact the Bible changed his name to Jesus for separation.
Maybe for English audiences.
It still would just be Joshua. My name, the Yeshua in English is Joshua.
Yeah, that's true.
But they didn't want it to be that. They chose to go after the Greek version of Jesus or Yeshua, which is Isis. And that's what they chose it to fall under. If you just really research, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you do your research about religion and all this stuff and look at the history, it kind of like does kind of take away the magic.
It does.
Because you see all the man-made stuff.
It's a lot. If you just factor in, you just spread the rumor, talk to somebody once, say something random, and see how far that spreads. Now, if you look at this, which a lot of the Bible is by ear, listening and writing. A lot of that is how it got started.
That's a big reason why I lost a lot of faith, because I thought about it. I'm like, this I always think about everything. Is I don't think about it as I don't just accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
I think about this might a person had to like think of the idea about it, the engineering, and then like make a whole company, and then a man had to like actually make it. So I think about that about everything.
Yeah.
Even religion. I'm like I don't just accept this just because someone told me it. I'm like thinking about it. I'm like there was a human one day who got pen and paper and started writing stuff down, right? And I'm like, okay, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt that a God did talk to them and they actually are just translating what a God said. Well, that original copy of the Bible eventually is retranslated into many other languages. And not only that, as years go on, they have to update it, change the way that they talk, because how people speak and talk back then is different from now, so they have to change that too. So I'm just thinking about all the men that have to like tamper with this. I'm like, I know how people are. People are gonna have their biases.
We haven't changed.
They're gonna have their little. They're gonna want to add something.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to put something that benefits them.
Well,
Nobody's
even like our English language, man.
Nobody's perfect.
Added.
I know exactly.
Just to make up to because to understand the concept or the context of anything, and the way people use, especially the Bible, they'll pull a verse out to make sense of what they're trying to say.
Exactly.
But if you read the whole verse,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's out of context. That's not making sense, and that's also help you open your eyes because you can easily take a piece from it, and then your point will make fucking sense. But if you read it as a whole, you're like, wait, that's not what they're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Because they may be telling a story, and that's just part of that story. But you're just like, no, I'm just gonna use this bit because it makes sense, so I can teach you this lesson. That's not what it was talking about.
I know, man. But that's just how people are.
It is.
And I don't think anything is wrong with that. I think that's just, if you're a human, that's how humans are.
They are.
We all have I don't think anybody is 100% pure and good. We all have a little bit of a little bad side of us,
Of course.
And that goes back to this whole translating and putting into other languages. I'm pretty sure, especially back then, I think morals were a little bit lower.
Oh yeah.
Ethics. So I'm almost 100% sure that somebody had to.
Well, the thing about life back
stuff.
then is just like, what were your priorities back then? It's so different. That's what's gonna be so foreign to us. Our priorities now are basically pointless.
Our priority. Wait, what do you mean?
Like in life, look at how we do things. People didn't have choices like we have choices
nowadays.
Yeah. So if you look at life like back then, if you put yourself in that kind of understanding, you can. We will not understand what life was like ever fully. It's so foreign to us.
Yeah, it changes too much. Like,
well, there was even this thing I was researching. It was like humans like what we're like just like 100,000, a couple 100,000 years old. This world is so old, and we know that a million years ago that how much of the Earth the surface was so different, vastly different. So it's like, how many of us have existed, versions of humans or
who knows,
humanoid things that have existed and experienced life? Because I know in a million years, this stuff won't exist anymore.
Yeah. Maybe this planet won't exist.
No.
Maybe we might destroy it. And maybe we live on Mars. But yeah, just thinking about how, I know how people are. We all have our biases.
We do.
We're going to change shit, Just looking at people in power, they're going to make laws that are going to benefit them and their friends. That's just how we are,
Yeah.
That's just human nature. But knowing that just made me really doubt religion, because I'm like, too many people have touched this. Too many people have had chances to change it, to benefit them, not even to benefit them, just to like fuck around.
I think a lot of time with religion, a lot of people are just afraid of death, which I get it. They don't want to die. They want to be a part of this.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
Going back to, can we keep getting tangent?
Yeah, we do.
The original thing I was talking about was heaven and hell, right? What I thought would happen when you would die, like I said, when you're a Christian, you believe in heaven and hell. But after I wasn't a Christian, what I genuinely believe is that everything just turns to black. Like, for example, when I got my wisdom tubes taken out, they put me to sleep. Have you ever been put into sleep?
Of course.
That's the craziest. But you know what I mean?
You ever been to sleep before? No,
when you get put to sleep, that was honestly one of the most craziest experiences I've ever had. Even like DMT level. Just like, it's so crazy the fact that one moment I was in the in the dentist bed, and then they put that thing in my arm and they count down, and before they even get to one, all of a sudden I black out, and then the next second I'm being rolled in a wheelchair. That was so crazy. So basically you're conscious one moment, and the next moment you're not conscious, and all you see is black, right? So that's what I thought death is. Because one moment you're conscious, and the next moment you're dead. You're not conscious anymore. So I just thought everything turned black until I had that DMT experience and also shrooms. That really changed my mind.
Yeah,
honestly, I do not believe that anymore. I genuinely believe that there's definitely something else out there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a heaven or hell or whatever, but I also know that I don't have to know what it is. I think it's beyond me. I think it's just beyond humans in general.
Well,
and I don't think we have to classify it or understand it, but there's definitely something out there.
No, I will say.
I don't think spirit energy dies. When you
no,
die,
it doesn't.
I think,
so.
You know?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
It's kind of dark.
Okay.
But,
let's go. Dark. All right.
I've been fortunate enough to never have anybody pass away in my life.
Okay.
But from what I've heard from people that have, it's kind of really interesting because like you can look at somebody that's alive and you can tell they're alive. You know, I'm looking at you, you're alive. But that same person, once they pass away, and you look at them in the casket, you can tell that they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
The body is physically
don't forget,
there.
like it's been embalmed, so it's
I
gonna
know. But it's just the way that people describe it is like the body's physically there, but the spirit, the energy, you can tell that person is not there anymore. You know?
Well, I think you probably can you can feel that just in a person, even if they're still living, that might feel that way. I have something popped in my mind, but I would have to find it on the phone.
Okay.
But it reminded me of it. I might show you after. But it was it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
But I do like so. I agree. There is something more. Because like so, I done DMT and I've had a similar experience. Well, with the religious faith that I left, I still believe parts of it for sure. I think I still follow parts of it. I don't read as much as I used to. Like I used to read that often. Now I still in a way pray at night, but it's more like manifesting.
That's one weird thing.
Yeah.
I stopped believing in Christianity back in middle school, so it's been like over 10 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I still pray to this day. I just like to pray. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some sort of manifesting. Just it feels good to sit there and just think of positive thoughts and ask for positive things back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, I think that's a spiritual thing that's important. Because especially if they're prayers for other people that are struggling, you know, that thing, because it shows that at least you're thinking of other people versus just yourself. We kind of conditioned to think so inwardly about us and all that stuff versus. But when you kind of think outwardly like that, and you're trying to come as a whole and having a bigger picture, I never really was one of those people that typically asked for too much stuff. But I remember
I asked for stuff.
Like I've asked for things. I remember I was at.
I asked for dumb stuff.
Well, there was a point where I was struggling. I could not figure out. Nothing was working out. I was trying to figure out things. I was at a loss. I was running out of money. I was like. I remember being frustrated, and I was like, "Look, God," I was like, "These are things I'm good at." I listed them. I was like. I don't know what the fuck to do, but I was like, I have to be able to do something in one of these. And photography was one of them. I was like, fucking, I applied all these different places. No one fucking responded. I'm like, something's got to happen. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. This is the only shit I'm good at. I'm at a loss. I have no fucking idea. When I woke up, I got a call back finally from one of these people I called that randomly to one of these photography people.
Crazy.
And I ended up, and it got me into the world of photography, and now I do photography.
That's awesome.
But it's just like trying to figure out things. I was just at a loss. But I think that's where in life you have to get to this breaking point so you can shatter and break out of it. Now you're out of this veil gets lifted, and I think that's what happened with Trump and shit. A veil that happened because while that was going on, there was also stuff going on with my wife's family. All this stuff was going on. It's just in us getting back in the situation, getting fired from your job, because COVID. There's so many of these fucking factors, and that's what I meant of like these veil getting lifted, this glass ceiling, whatever the fuck we call it, shattering. Because that's how life is, patterns. If it was just one thing that happened there, nothing would have been significant. I probably would have learned a lesson. But with all this shit happening, just like, and it's just like it's just like the universe is causing this accident to happen so that me and my wife could both grow. And I feel the same for other people. But if you're not aware, you'll miss this shit.
I agree.
Because I've missed it in my life. It's these moments you have to be aware while it's happening, and you notice all the stuff you're growing. Because this happened during all this same time. That's when I started losing my faith. That's when I started finding other things in life. That's also happened when I was discovering that I had aphasia. You know, I just these small little factors boom, and it's all said. Then I started growing. That's also when I started smoking weed around that time, helping me understand and heal and trying to figure out who the fuck I am, what the fuck I am. You know, it's
that's
these
crazy,
small
man.
things. But then DMT.
I think sorry, but I think a reason why a lot of people believe in religion is because when stuff like that happens to them, they credit it to God. You know, but I think a lot of people are just trying to figure out what this thing is, and they're just trying to classify it in different things. Well, some people say God, some say Buddha, some say this.
All religions are right.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's bits of them that are right, all of them.
I think there's definitely something out there, but I don't know how to classify it, and I'm not going to classify it. I just call it life.
My DMD experience, that's the one thing because mine wasn't quite, I should have been more reverent on it. I shouldn't have done what I did.
I think you were still meant to do it.
I was. I was.
It wasn't the best.
It wasn't the best experience, but it was a lesson learned from it. Which I came away when because I knew I started feeling I wasn't ready to experiencing what I was supposed to experience. And when I started having this feeling, I got this, I understand, I don't understand. I'll never understand.
I love that saying.
It is. It summed up everything
that
for me.
On yourself.
Yeah, no. Because how much energy do people waste trying to figure shit out? Like of time I've spent trying to classify what I think, and because we put this thing in this box, it has to be this to make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. Why does it have to?
Yeah.
I think if we were to understand these things, our mind would break.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens to people. That sometimes people get exposed to too much stuff, or they're born at a point where they just too much noise and it affects you, and that's with schizophrenia. It could be that. Who knows what? I really feel like there could be other roles that are on top of ours. Who fucking knows? I think so, man. It could be a number of things, but guess what? I don't fucking know. I'm never gonna understand. We're never gonna fucking know.
I think definitely there's worlds on top of ours, because every time when I do psychedelics, I know it's just so interesting, because when you do psychedelics, like shrooms, for example, it's so weird because you can feel it creeping up on you. You know the effects of it. And then as you feel it getting creeping up on you, or like shrooms, for example, you can kind of feel like things get wavy.
They do.
You know what I mean?
It feels like the world's breathing.
It feels like weird, there's like a film over the world, and that when you're on these substances, it kind of like lifts that film so you can actually like see past it. So that's why, again, going back to like heaven or hell and like religious stuff, this stuff makes me believe in it. Not Christianity, but definitely there's something out there.
There is 100%. I felt it.
We can't classify it.
You can feel it if you're.
I'm not trying to classify it. But you know,
you can't put it in a box. But we as humans, we like to do this. We like to label shit and put things in a box.
That's true.
That's what we do.
Why?
It's in our nature. I don't know. We just do that. Yeah. We find something. Because like me having ADHD, my wife has ADHD, but she's not hyper like me. I'm hyper as fuck, because it's the hyper part where she hyper focuses. I hyper focus on things, but I'm also energetic. Yeah. But there's still ADHD. It's a spectrum of everything, but we like to classify it and lump it in this box. It's this, but no, it's not. Yeah. It could be a number of things.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I'm into like music and stuff, and then I remember a rapper I really like, Little Peep. His music is kind of unique. I would say the best way to describe it is like emo rap, but it's kind of really everywhere. And I remember when he was out and up and coming, a lot of people all these news articles try to put labels on him that he's this, but he was like kind of fed up with it. He's like, you don't gotta classify me, you know?
Well, that's what we do. Look, when Nirvana broke out, they called it grunge. They made up a word.
Oh, that's crazy. So they kind of like started that whole.
Yeah, they want to label it.
Oh wow, crazy. Yeah, but I don't know why we do that, huh?
Maybe just because it helps us.
Maybe it's because
we have control. It helps us.
We're really just animals,
control.
Right?
We are.
And animals fear what they don't know.
Yeah.
So I think we're just trying to.
We like the illusion of control.
Yeah, so that we're not scared of it no more.
Yeah. We got this. Yeah.
And it's in this box.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what.
Well, think of it the world before. Societies like this it didn't used to be like this. Things were just like. You didn't have a safety net. We have this big, huge safety net always around us, like in America. What do you mean safety net? Look at it, America. We can probably walk around free, not really worry about we might get shot, but we might not. You know, or get murdered by randomly. But before, everyone, especially thousands of years ago, people didn't. You couldn't just wander around somewhere because you might die.
If you leave your home, you might not come back.
No, even if you stayed at your home, because there's no way of guarding it. Like we live in a world where we have so much. It's kind of weird to think. Yeah. And, but it's.
Hey, but we live like kings, though.
We do.
Okay, we got our own rooms with air conditioning and heat.
Dude, man, it still blows my mind that the fact that I can have a shower every day if I want.
Yeah.
Humans didn't used to have that access.
Yeah. I think about that. I think about that all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, we can say and complain, but we got it good, especially in America. even in modern day age, we still got it good by modern standards.
We do, yeah.
Compared to the rest of the world.
It's true.
Because I remember, I think I was on Twitter during the whole Ukraine thing, and I seen a lot of like, I think Americans complaining about stuff, and then like a person from the Philippines chimed in and was like, "You guys are complaining in America?" He's like, "You guys got running water, you guys got fridges, you guys got electricity." And then they showed like a photo of their neighborhood. It was so shitty. They got like tents and stuff. Yeah. No clean running water. He's like, "You guys got it good, you know." And I guess everything's perspective.
It is. You know? No, and that's the thing is if you grow up in a world where you're just used to certain things, it's it's sobering.
I'm glad I kind of grew up not with the best standard of living. So my standard's really low now.
It's like, hey man, if I can at least I get a good meal and I'm covered, I'm good.
That's honestly how I think.
No, it's,
I could live in a studio, really small studio, as long as I have a kitchen and a TV and a nice bed. I could live.
Well, easily. If you look at life like an experience, you can learn a lesson. Everything. There's positives and negatives, but I am thankful for my. You know, I had a bad childhood. Of course, there's positives that could have happened in a better way.
Yeah.
But it made me into what I am. I don't want to I can't change it. Like it's a part of you. It's like this is your story, your narrative.
Yeah.
And you can be in control of it for sure, but it's like it's still a part of you and molded you.
Yeah.
And some people are afraid to experience certain parts of being human. You know.
I love the whole human experience, man. All the good and bad.
It's a lot. Yeah. But you also, a lot of people don't have tools. It's about learning how to have these tools. So that way, if you did experience a positive or negative part of being human, you can be ready for it.
True.
And I feel like that's what a lot of religion is there for, to help you build these tools.
Yeah.
But there's also things there that it can help lead you down dark paths. And I think a lot of people tend to do that. It's because we as humans like to label things in a certain way, which I don't know why.
Maybe that's why religion is so big. It's because we're in this floating rock and we're trying to understand it because we're scared, you know, so we gotta explain that there's this higher being taking care of us, so we're not scared all the time.
We always want to be right, like, no, it's this, no, it's not. Like, why does it matter? Like, shit, why can't we just all like get together and try to make the best of the situation, you know?
I think it's crazy though, if you really think about it. There's been wars waged because of religion. Just because you don't agree with what I think, we're gonna kill your people.
I want you to die.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is terrifying. No, it's crazy because it's crazy to think that people in Egypt who have existed thousands of years, who would have thought that their existence would stop existing?
Yeah.
Like their generations that we don't know any of their stories.
Yeah.
But we think this now, like, a nuke could just happen right now.
I
know.
And
1,000 years later, people are like, wow, there used to be a city here.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy to think it's possible reality. So why it's best just to enjoy your life. Like people want to chase this one thing, and you're missing. By chasing this one thing, you're missing life.
That's what I think about. Yeah. Cause I feel like I slightly believe in like reincarnation. You know.
No, I can't rule out anything. Because I know I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't.
That's why I'm looking forward to dying.
That makes sense. This could be a major. We might wake up. We're in a fucking machine this whole time. We're the fucking.
That's what I think about too. Cause like there's this whole simulation theory, right?
Yeah. Pull this out. It turns out you're like, oh, it was like a spa this whole time.
There's a theory that maybe millions and millions, billions of years back, there's already been a civilization like us, and they got so advanced that they made a simulation. But the thing is, they think that they got so advanced that they're at the peak of advancement that now everything's boring. You know, they're too perfect, life's too perfect, the world's too perfect, all the problems are solved. So they create a simulation to go back in time. Not back in time.
See, how pissed would you be if you found that's what it was?
I think that's cool. Because I think it's cool the fact that, wow, we at one point we got so advanced that we got bored. So we created a simulation so that we can de-evolve into our human form and do this all over again. I think that's cool.
It's a possibility. There's one thing I know about humans. We are crazy, individuals. Like we who knows what the fuck could be out there. We could be invented. We could be something that's always existed. I have no idea. It feels like this could be just one's real right now. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm tasting you being here. You're really here.
Well, the thing I think about is if it is, who cares?
Yeah, it's true. But people...
What am I going to do?
Nothing. Like, if you learn that knowledge,
at the creators, they're going to delete me.
Yeah. It's like, this guy's learned too much. But no, I do like the idea. It's like, you've heard of different things with, synesthesia. Have you ever heard of that?
That's like when you can visualize audio.
Yes.
music.
Yeah. Like
You can see it.
well, some people say it's also you can taste shapes. Like a circle will have a flavor, a square will have a flavor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
get how that would
that.
even work.
I don't.
Because you can have a square of
I
like
guess
salami.
the way to test it.
It's good. Cause you can have a square of salami and a square of tuna.
I guess you blindfold them and give them certain shapes and let them just lick it.
Okay,
Like, what does that taste like? I don't know,
yeah.
man. It's weird.
Yeah.
But they're also we're talking about like seeing audio and the fact that humans can see that. I remember there's like these classical pianists. They would play certain music and it would be certain shades of purple and blue depending on like,
you told
the
me
keys.
about that.
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating. The fact that humans have that ability, and it makes you wonder, like, what are we capable of? Could we just acquire that?
Yeah.
Could we develop it? Like, how were they born with it? Like, I don't understand.
Or do we all have it? They just have it unlocked for some reason.
That's what makes me wonder, because there's people that they call acquired savants, and it's like there's injuries that may have happened to him, head injuries, things like that. There was this guy that was in his 40s, and he just was like a realtor. He just sold property or sold cars or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was having a pool party, barbecue out in his backyard.
Yeah.
He was just throwing a football around with his friends.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go catch it and dive in the deep end of this pool. And he ended up diving in the shallow end and hit his head on the bottom.
Damn.
And they noticed he wasn't coming up. They thought he was joking around. And then they freaked out, pulled him out there, and in the water. It turns out he had like a severe concussion. He kept thinking he was bleeding, and there was just water, but he was freaking out. So they take him to the hospital. He was fine. They said just stay up, don't go to sleep. They wanted him to be aware. A couple days later, he was at his friend's visiting, and he just saw his friend had a piano, and he just had an urge to go over towards the piano. And when he went towards the piano, he started seeing the shapes of the keys, they're moving, and he tried to follow with his fingers.
Crazy.
And he was just playing the piano.
That's crazy.
And his friend was like paused and came back and looked, and he's like, dude, when did you learn how to play piano? He's like, I never learned. Yeah. And he says he remembers as a kid he's always wanted to play it. He just it never happened in life. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it gave him a point where it consumed him. Yeah. Where it's like he'd be driving his car with a friend and he had to pull over and find a piano to play to get the urge out. Yeah. And I feel like I felt that as a creative with music, that pull where it's like it consumes you, but eventually it can let it go. But I think because he acquired it, how he acquired it, it could just be, maybe it was in them all along. I don't know. Maybe it's a part of us that's in us, and we have to find a way to unlock it, the key. Yeah. But it consumed him to the point where it was obsessive. He couldn't stop it. I do remember like Beethoven and Mozart and some of their writings. They would talk about they could never turn the music off. I know Mozart would often write his music first draft. It would come out like that.
You think they got synesthesia?
Well, no, I don't think it's synesthesia. I think because they were such a higher class of a human in that aspect of life, it just opened that up. Because me being creative, sometimes music, I can't turn it off. It just comes in my head. I can't help it. Usually I try to find it and make it and create it, but usually it's just there. I noticed Christian told me the same thing. I was like, okay, it's interesting. I've had it where I was consumed by it because I lived a lot of my life where I didn't go out and do anything. I just practiced music. It's all I wanted to do. And I could see how that stuff could consume you. But I really feel like there might be something in us, all of us, that I don't know if there's a way for us to find it, because it's better through self-discovery, because it helps you develop and build the right tool. Otherwise,
instead of just having it
because you don't have the ability. Because this guy says he still can't read sheet music or anything like that. When he plays, it's like this ability. He can change it to blues, jazz, whatever.
That's crazy.
Which is interesting.
All because he got hit in the head.
That's what's so crazy. There's lots of cases. There's people research. There's a lot out there of people developing these weird talents.
I've heard of this person getting into a coma or whatever because they hit their head, and then when they got out of the coma, they did not speak English anymore. They spoke a whole different language. Like, how does that work? You know, because you would think that language is like a man-made thing, so you would have to learn all these man-made words, but somehow their brain can already know all those words in that language.
Well, I think
so. It's like, what the fuck is that?
I think what happens is people tend to forget that your brain is also a muscle that you can exercise and you can make it grow. Things like that in life, if you damage it, I feel like some people have born with things. That's why like there's you might have a birth defect, and there was this kid that he could do these mathematical problems that were crazy difficult. But he also couldn't button his shirt. But when he was like, he could do these small things, but he couldn't do these other tasks. But when they noticed when he would do these difficult mathematical problems, they would use both of his brains were working at the same time. When he tried to button his shirt, same thing when they did a CAT scan on his brain.
Yeah.
So there was something with that connection, how his brain is taking information from one end to the other end.
Yeah.
It's the path that it's going, which is not a normal path. Usually brains will there'll be one side doing one and it's back and forth. His was going from both back and forth. Because they were believing that by the damage it received, it's going to unlock something. It's found a new path. By finding this new path, it unlocks something.
That's crazy.
And these are just theories, but so it's possible that you could develop something they might have always in you. So if you get hit in the head, if you get robbed or whatever, you might develop an ability. This one dude said he started seeing like patterns in light when he would walk around and see stuff after he got mugged. He was seeing like light fractal patterns. Like if you ever been high on DMT, you see like that. He was seeing everything. The sun would shine through, and it was like spiderweb of things.
Hey, what if he got hit in the head and then the tube, whatever in his head that has DMT, leaked a little? So now
you never know.
What if that's how it works?
But man, it's like I just know it's kind of crazy to think this like jello in here, our head that just moves around. But it's who knows what the fuck it's capable of. It's terrifying to think, but we feel like who knows, man.
Here's an interesting conversation. What is it about us that is us? Because there's this whole, I don't know how you say it, theory or whatever about this boat. Let's say you have a boat, right?
Okay.
And then you have to replace a part on the boat. Like let's say a piece of wooden plank on it is like has a hole. So you rip out that piece of wooden plank, buy a new one, put it in, nail it, right? And now a piece of your boat has a new piece of wood, right? But let's say you slowly start replacing every single part of that boat. You replace all the wood, you replace the steering wheel, all the nuts and bolts, right? And then 10 years later, every single part of that boat that you originally had is all replaced now. Now, is that boat that you have now, is that the same boat from before? Or is it a new boat? Because technically every piece remaining from that old boat is gone. But it's still that boat you had, So take that same concept, apply it to a human, because
we're not fully replacing it, we're just refurbishing it.
Well, as we evolve, eventually we're going to start replacing parts,
No, that is different.
So imagine
well, they already have that thing where our brain.
That's where I'm getting to, because you replace the leg, right? And then eventually we advance, and now you can replace an arm, replace a kidney, liver, maybe even a heart. You get a robotic heart, right? And eventually you're going to replace your brain with a robotic brain. So it's like, at what point are you? At what point do you change to a whole different being? Well, Is it the brain that makes you? If you replace the brain, are you not you no more?
Well,
is that where the soul is? There's a whole debate about that. Or is it the heart?
Well, that's the thing that I've been trying to pay attention more. What I will call intrusive thoughts, which usually would be the negative, is what I would usually associate with that.
Yeah.
But I started trying to pay attention to like when I have random thoughts that could be positive. It could just be like something like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. I'm just like, where that thought come from, why am I having it, and I'm trying to be more aware while they're going on, because I feel like that is a secret of things to control stuff. Because I already had enough experiences that if I didn't pay attention to those thoughts, if I did pay attention to them, I would alter it better for my life. Things would have happened in a better way. Like you said you had one at work where you had a kind of intrusive thought.
Yeah.
Similar, whatever that is, that's the stuff I'm exploring. Where it could just be telling you like, oh, you should do this, do that. I'm trying to understand what that is. Why am I having these thoughts? Because what is the brain? Because sometimes like there's like you have your regular way of thinking, then you might like if you're forgetting something. I remember like this guy was telling a story like he was like grabbing his keys, doing the stuff. He's he's gonna go shopping, and on his list he had a shopping list. He was making sure he got everything, and as he's going to the door, random he's like potato. The word potato popped in his head. He forgot that he's supposed to get potatoes.
Oh, okay.
But it's like that random thought, which is like, what is that? It just feels like, oh, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I've had some that if I had one say, oh, I should stand next to my wife while she's on our patio. Yeah. Didn't listen to it. I'm like, oh, I'm already over here. I was doing something, and then as I was watching her that split second, if I just walked over there and stood next to her, I would have caught this. She was turning around and she slipped and she twisted her ankle, and her ankle's still fucked up to this day. Man. That happened almost a year ago. Damn. But if I just listened and walked over there, I would have caught her. I know I would have. Okay. Like, what is that thought? So how does that happen? I don't know. You think
the brain is who you are?
I don't know, man. That's stuff. It freaks me out to this day. I've had things like this that have popped in, and I know if I've listened, it's almost like intuition or instinct. I don't know what that is.
Because another thing I'm thinking about is, let's say eventually we want cyborg bodies, right? And then they like, okay, here's Seiko. He wants a whole new cyborg body. we're gonna take just his brain and put it into this cyborg, and now this is Seiko, the cyborg, right? So we're saying that I'm the brain, right? But
you
let's say
I would say yes, you are your brain.
But then at the same time, a human body, when they pass away, their brain is still in the body, but you wouldn't say they're there anymore. Their soul left. So where are we? Just not a physical thing? Are we just like a soul in the body? You know.
So there's a TV show, and also it's a book, but there's a TV show I just watched called His Dark Materials. It's also a book series about that. And the way they kind of explain this, so there's this world, they call these things demons, but the way they call these demons, what they're calling them, in this world, it's like a part of them and manifests as an animal. And as a child, their forms have different shapes, and they don't fully form into like a certain shape. Could be a bird, dog, alligator, whatever, until they're an adult.
Wait,
right?
Say that again. When they're a kid.
When they're a kid, their animal can be anything. It just floats around, run around, do whatever.
Yeah.
But when they get older, it's like once you get, I guess, past puberty, become an adult, your animal will form into whatever it is forever.
Okay.
And this thing is a part of you.
Okay.
And it's almost like you can talk to it, interact with it. But in our world, in this book, they go to different worlds. And when they get to our world, our spirit thing, it's inside of us. It's still there. We just don't see it. It's almost like our conscience, the thing we talk to. This thing outside of it, they can actually see it and talk to it. It's part of them.
That's crazy.
And when in this TV show, they go to the land of the dead, that piece of them dies. They cannot go there. They physically were there. But that spirit part of them, even though they still were there, they still were them. But it's like this part was, and you're connected, it's intangible. You have to be, it's a part of you while you're living. But it can be separated and not go to this land of the dead, but you can. So it's like, I don't know. It was an interesting book. It was a weird separation that, and when they came back out to the land of the living, because they weren't fully dead, they were trying to fix something. They got reconnected with it. But once someone dies, that piece dies. It burns away. So it's like, what is that? And it's like, is that a soul? Is that what they would claim this could be? And I feel like that part of you that is you, that I honestly think it's a part of your brain. It's like, I would think a conscience. I don't know. I feel like that thing that is your spirit self. And that's kind of what Christianity would talk about. That when you get saved, you get this Holy Spirit. It's supposed to fill you up, and that would makes Christians supposed to be all connected because we all have this Holy Spirit in us. And instead of thinking like that in the Christian way, I would look at it in the way like this spirit. You don't have to take religion out of it. This energy, it's everywhere. If you ever walk in a room like this negative, like, wow, it feels weird. Yeah, it's the same thing. That's a spirit itself that we're feeling. I really feel like being aware of that, regardless of religion, there's something there. I don't know what that is. I honestly wish I had an answer, but I think that when we die, it's connected. We're all connected to it in a way. Like I was thinking, like we are kind of our own selves. Like we all are each other, which makes it dumb that we fight each other so much.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the connection. We are a part of this earth, and we it's the same thing. Like there's something with it that we truly are connected. The more we get away, like technology, it has a way of separating more and more from that, because we tend to want to always take. But that's not how people have lived. You look at all the generations of societies that have lived, like especially like how Native Americans, this land was flourishing before here.
It was.
And I said they had to respect a balance, a healthy balance with this earth, how it should be. Western culture, obviously not. Look how they've lived. You know, we've been smelly people for a very long time.
We have.
But we were not cleaner. But look at it now. This is the stuff we built. It's not to help the earth. You know, it's not to help it. How it's just to help us in the situation.
Shit out of there.
Yeah. It's like even in Houston when it floods, in Houston, Texas, it's so much concrete, the water just will sit.
What?
Because it can't. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Because there's too much concrete.
That's crazy.
Because again, that's like us as humans, and they say by 2050 we'll be at 10 billion. You know.
You think?
That's what they say. Yeah, we're already over 8 billion.
I heard though, once you do get to 10 billion, we're gonna plateau. That's where
I honestly think is I don't know, but I really feel like there could be a possibility if something hasn't changed or happened, that might be a cataclysmic event may happen in 2050.
Man.
Don't know if that might happen, but if you look at our society, we're getting too big for this world.
We are.
They're trying to change it. Obviously, as I'm glad about Seattle, there's a lot of vegan options because that at least shows you can grow a lot of stuff and yourself and
all the
eat,
possible meat stuff is pretty cool.
It is. It's not bad.
Because lab grown meat.
Yeah, it's at least a little better than us, keep over consuming, because that's what we do. Look at America, how much we eat.
I know, man.
And Europeans make fun of us all the time.
Shit, I mean, they have the right to. We're a lot of obese people.
Yeah, not only that, but just the way our restaurants serve food, man. We eat so much food.
Big servings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, regardless of all that, I hope that once we all pass away, I hope that we all, whatever happens, I hope that we all just kind of understand each other finally and like get along wherever we head to, That's what I genuinely hope.
I really feel like we will. I think the biggest part is being a positive force is a factor.
Yeah.
You have to want to be different.
Yeah.
You keep doing the same cycle. Yeah. I don't know if you do go somewhere. I maybe you just repeat. You get reincarnated.
That's what I think about too, man. Because I'm like, there's people I know that I care about, but if there is this whole reincarnation thing, I don't think they're gonna make it.
Well, think of it like life.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah, no, but think of it like life. Like how often have we done the same shit? There's been poor people on the streets since. I know from the Roman times for sure. Mm-hmm. That was the closest to what we are that I can think of was how the Romans were. They had showers. They had plumbing systems and stuff set up already where people go to the restroom. Mm-hmm. It was pretty close to a modern city and modern civilization. Mm-hmm. They still had money struggles. There was that divide, separation was still there. That still exists to this day. Billionaires, and then us that are left. Hey
man, because of that exact reason, I sometimes like to think. It's like a fun thought that there is a hell and that's Earth.
There's people that believe that. Like this is the purgatory.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like you gotta make it out of Earth. Yeah. That's why there's so much shit here. It's because this is hell, and that's why you see people on the same patterns. It's because they're stuck here. Get behind that theory. You gotta break that pattern and get out.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
The only way I know how to do that to break that pattern is pursuing the better version of who you are. Yeah. Pursuing to be this a genuine, being honest, being true to who you are. Yeah. Most of us aren't. We just want to be these certain versions of this because we want people to see this. But no, I'm fucked up. That's it. As simple as that. I'll own it. I am this. It's just being real. Yeah. That's the only way to keep going, moving forward. We have to always keep pushing and going up. But I think that's what happens with people is I have lots of family members, they get stuck in these little, and I think that's what happens. You just keep, and then you just repeat. Yeah. And you'll notice this pattern. If you really look at people's families, you probably can look at all the patterns, recognizing all their families. I know with my wife's family, almost every female generations back, at least 4 or 5, had a kid out of wedlock.
Yeah, I think you told me about that.
Yeah, which is crazy. All of them were teenagers or 20s.
That's crazy.
Every single one of them. It's the same thing. Actually, the only one that did, except for Ashley. Yeah. Crazy.
I know, it is crazy.
If you can look at your family, see all these. My family, anger. It's the one thing. It's been constant. This uncontrollable rage just exists through all these generations. And I'm like, okay, I see this connection.
Yeah.
I see this.
So all this stuff is just so interesting because it does kind of reconfirm my agnostic beliefs that there is something out there that we can't classify.
100%.
But also, after going through DMT, it helped me feel better and that we don't know what it is, but we don't have to. Just let go. Everything's going to be all right. That was one of the most positive things I got out of it, which was just this feeling that everything is going to be all right. Yeah.
No, that's...
Just stop stressing, stop worrying. Just trust things.
Do the right thing. Same feeling I got too.
Yeah, you don't get just this feeling of it's not complicated. Just do the right thing. Be good to people. Be a good person, and just everything will work out. Just trust it. That's what I got.
There was like I'm sure it's from a movie or TV show. I think it's Turtle's Head on Kung Fu Panda, maybe. I don't know. but it was like in order. I don't know, maybe the tortoise, but it's like it was like in order to grow, you have to let go. And I was like, that's true. I was like, you have to. Yeah. And like letting go of just different things in life. You just look how many things that have a hold of you. Yeah. And you have to learn how to let go of that. Sometimes it could just be people, it could be situations, it could be whatever. It could be just small things that are in your life. Yeah. You have to let go of that, and then you can really go and escape. And that's where new year, learn how to let go. Let go and grow. That's what we're trying to figure out.
You gotta let go, okay? But one thing you should definitely not let go is this podcast.
Yeah, don't let go of it.
It was a good podcast. That was a good podcast. Yeah. We talked about a bunch of shit. A whole bunch of shit, but main thing is just everybody got issues. Nobody's perfect. We're all growing. and it takes work, and you also gotta want to, because it's an everyday thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. You guys have that work.
Yeah.
But you're on a good path.
You too.
Yeah, thanks.
No.
This is always pushing forward,
Yeah.
little bit by little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to, you know, and then hopefully people that come across it get a little help. You know, I've received some nice messages.
I like that
from people, you know, because that's why I like doing this.
Yeah.
And that's why I like making clips, because it's just a 1 minute clip, but that 1 minute clip can really change a person's life and put them on a good path. Because that's what happened to me. I started listening to podcasts a lot a couple years back, and that's when I got me on the right path to better myself, you know? No, that's why I want to give back.
I agree with that.
Do it to other people, you know? But, yeah, anyway, that's what we're about. This is Broken Bear Conversations. Spread the word. Exactly, please. That would help a lot. Broken Bear Conversations. We're on Spotify, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Seiko.
I'm Josh.
And what's your Instagram?
So my Instagram is poetry.and.lens.
Yes, photographer.
Thank you.
Yes. And thanks for watching.
Appreciate it.
Have a nice new year.
New year. New you.